So we're going to look at percents. Well, when you read the word percent, we're looking at per, and then the cents part means really per 100. So whenever you guys see something like 40%, this is equivalent to saying 40 out of 100. And we're able to write that percent as a fraction. We can also interpret this as a decimal. 40 out of 100 is 40 hundredths, which is written as a decimal in this way. Remember, this is the tenths, and that's the hundredths. So if we're talking about 40 hundredths, we would write it in that way. Similarly, if I have 25%, that means that I have 25 out of 100, or 25 divided by 100, which would become 0.25. And so you can start to see a pattern, or even if we go back to some regular numbers, let's think about this for a second. If we can recall, if you have 500 divided by 100, we all know that that's 5. When you have 50 divided by 100, that's going to be a half, or you can also say 0.5. If you have 5 divided by 100, it's going to be 0.05. We see this dividing by 100, it's really allowing us to move the decimal to the left 2 times. And it makes sense that we're moving to the left because if you're dividing by 100, you're getting smaller. So in other words, we have a quick way of writing percents as decimals. So if I'm looking at 37%, I know that the percent just really means to divide by 100, so it will become 0.37. You're moving your decimal to the left 2 spots. If I have 7%, that's dividing by 100, it will move my decimal to the left twice, which will become 0.07. If I have 5.2%, that means divide that 5.2 by 100, which will get smaller, become 0.052. Now what if I have 4.5% like this? Well, since we're talking about trying to move a decimal place, one of the easiest things you could do is rewrite this as a percent where your fraction is written as a decimal, and I know a half is 0.5. So I'm really talking about 4.5%. Now, the percent again means divide by 100, so we'll move to the left 2 times. Let's try that one more time. I have 3.1/8%. Now 1/8 I don't know off the top of my head, so I might use a calculator and see what decimal this is, and if I want to find that, I'll take 1 divided by 8. When I take 1 divided by 8, it gets me 0.125. So 3.1/8 is really 3.125%. Now, I haven't used this percent yet. I just wrote that part as a decimal by rewriting 1/8. So I still need to divide by 100, which moves this over twice. So 0.03125. I can also work the other way. So for example, if I have 4.2, I can rewrite this as a percent. So instead of moving to the left 2, I want to move to the right 2 spots, which would become 420%. Okay, so when you want to write percent as decimal, we're dividing by 100, which means we get smaller and move to the left. We want to write a decimal as a percent, we move to the right 2 spots. So for example, if I have 0.30, okay, that decimal, if I want to write it as a percent, it's kind of like multiplying by 100. You're undoing the division by 100, and that gets me 30%. I have 0.7, that would move over and become 70%. 2.13, that would move over and become 213%. And it makes sense that we're over 100 for these two because we have a whole number here. And if you're talking about a whole, 100% is one whole. So if we have two wholes, we should have 200%. So we can ask a question, well, what is 40% of 50? They're saying 40% is some portion of the 50. We want to know what amount. And so if we directly translate this, normally in mathematics, if it says what or what number, we denote that with the variable x. We will translate that to equals. Now 40%, it's a little tricky to be writing percent all the time, so it's a little easier to write it as a decimal, which would become 0.40. So we can actually do some math here. Now of, we take that to be multiplication, and we're doing that of 50. So we're taking 40% of 50, which amounts to really just multiplying 0.40 times 50, and we get that x is equal to 20. So that way we know that 20 is 40% of the 50. Now if we go on to say, well, what is 3% of, say, 81? It follows the same way. We don't know what it is. We just know the percent is 0.03 times 81. So that gets us x is equal to 2.43, which should make sense. It's a small amount. 3% is small. If you're thinking a whole is 100%. So we know that 2.43 is 3% of 81.